Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're live from New York City with the final day of the round of 16 of WCS America, where 3 Protosses and 3 Zergs currently in the round of 8. 3 Terrans in the group today, so 2 Terrans will move on. The question is which one? We're currently in the first match. Game 2 coming up, asking the players if they are ready. And both gentlemen have responded that they indeed are.
That first game was just an absolutely beautiful game.
What a game.
It was really cool because both players were playing so amazingly, but they were each playing in your own kind of strengths. Ryung did a better job of understanding the important parts of the map and denying his opponent expansions and just basically always being ahead in economy for the vast majority of the game. But then Polt is a master of engagements, and every engagement is so cost efficient for him.
It's TBT, it's so important. I mean, you don't just get an opportunity to try to get a cost-efficient engagement in TBT. Your opponent literally has to make a mistake. That's pretty much how TBT works. It's all about positioning and making sure you know exactly where your opponent is, having money scans, maybe having a medevac, ignite the afterburners, get in there, see what the heck is going on, and then potentially taking advantage of a hole in your opponent's defenses. And then even more interestingly, as the game goes along, it's interesting because you're both on 3 bases and you're setting up with that in mind. But then once you start taking a 4th base, once you start taking a 5th base, you can find yourself really spread out, and it allows for many more opportunities to make mistakes and again potentially take advantage of those mistakes. So just an absolutely amazing game 1 between these 2 guys, both very high-level players. You can tell they definitely practiced a lot. But here we are in game number 2, and I have the pleasure of introducing our players on Neo Planet S. We'll start with the player in the top right-hand location. Representing Team Axiom and hailing from Korea, he is Ryung. Where's his opponent? The bottom left-hand location of Neo Planet S. Red Terran player, taking down game number 1. He's 1 win away from advancing on to play alive. He is Polt.
This is going to be a very interesting map because, you know, Akalon Waste was a battle between the top right and bottom left near the end where both players were really fighting over those zones.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until they were looking to take the 5th base that really happened. Neo Planet S, that battle along moving across either the top portion of the map or the bottom, really starts as soon as you take the 3rd base. So
yeah.
A lot more positional play will really come out much, much faster on this map.
It's like the opposite of Akalon Waste almost, where Akalon is the map where, you know, you go into the game, you're like, all right, let's take some bases. You know, we can hold our 3rd, we can hold our 4th, no problem. Neo Planet S, again, it's like the opposite. 2 bases is generally fine. But then once you get to that 3rd, you're starting to have to walk into the dark wilderness beyond the wall, lots of icy, you know, you're kind of scared, and of course, it's a much shorter rush distance, so it doesn't take that long for your opponent to get across the map. And again, as you said, you have to worry about those 2 different rush paths along the top side of the map and the bottom side of the map. This is one of those maps where base trades do happen. So ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts. This should be a good one.
It looks like Polt is going for the same build that both players went for last game. A very strong build in TBT, one of the more standard macro openers. But Ryung saying, you know what? Let's mix things up a bit. He's actually teching very fast. 2nd gas factory all before even looking to build a 2nd command center. Starport's going down now as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, playing to the map is what I see here. Of course, Polt, you know, he took game 1 with this build. He's like, all right, I'm confident. Let's go to the late game again. Whereas Ryung is like, you know what? It's a shorter map. I might be able to get some more stuff done with some medevacs, but let's get them out a little bit earlier. However, this might even be Banshee, so again, we'll keep an eye on what happens here. But Ryung going for a very aggressive 1 base style. So what this means going forward is Polt focusing on the economy. If he can prevent this aggressiveness from Ryung from doing too much damage, he's going to be a very happy person.
Looks like Ryung is going for a Cloak Banshee. If Polt identifies this and he has a turret up, of course, he's going to have a Viking out in time as well. But the detection can be a problem. Will he identify Ryung has not expanded and is going for Cloak?
So he's going to have a 2nd command center fairly soon. So the good thing about this is he's going to have a 2nd orbital command center fairly soon, which means he's going to have more scans earlier on in the game, which means we're probably going to see a scan in the next minute from Polt. So I feel like he should be able to identify this cloaked play from his opponent, but then obviously the next step is going to be making sure it doesn't do damage. So he has a Starport on the way, a Viking. When he scans, I would expect him to put down an engineering bay, get some turrets, and play very safe. But we'll have to see if that scan comes anytime soon.
Widow Mines are going to make his defense much, much, much easier. Of course, what happens if you just have Marines defend off a Banshee? Oh, there goes the scan.
Yep.
Beautiful scan by Polt. As I was saying, if you just have Marines defend off a Banshee, what can happen is you can scan to reveal it, but it'll just run away, and the Marines might hurt it a bit, but you're probably not going to kill a Banshee with a single scan with just a few Marines and maybe even a Viking. But if you have those Widow Mines there and they're well placed, you can really cut off that Banshee from potentially escaping or put a lot of damage onto it in 1 second. Much easier to take it out, which is a single scan.
Oh. SCV saw the Widow Mine. Is he going to sacrifice himself?
He's probably going to wait till the Banshee gets closer, maybe?
Is there a way to microwave? You can't microwave from the shot with an SCV.
No. Maybe if you went
okay,
into it, yeah.
Sacrificing himself.
Is he going to scan to kill that Widow Mine? He only has 1 orbital, so he probably wants to save that scan for a meal. Widow Mine, of course, is much cheaper.
Cloak is done, and we see Ryung cloaking up right away. A turret is going down in the main base. Oh, that Banshee getting very close. Going to take on the SCV. The turret barely not done. 247 out of 250 there. Actually 25 out of 25 on the actual timer. So as close as you can be, but the Banshee will get taken out without doing too much damage.
Great defense by Polt there. Ryung really actually did a lot of damage considering how prepared Polt was, but it still might not be enough damage considering how more economically focused Polt's opening was.
He killed 2 workers.
Couple Marines, I think.
Couple Marines. Units lost is 300 to 150. You know, I think Polt's going to be very happy with how this is going. However, look at this. Ryung going for a 3rd command center. That's actually crazy cool.
That's exactly the right decision to make. Of course, Polt has a great defense, economic advantage. The one thing Ryung has is he has some semblance of map control right now. Of course, the Viking can chase the Banshee around, but if Polt tries to move out on the map, he can pick away at that force of cloak Banshees very easily. And as long as you stay, kind of on the edges of their army, you might not even die to a single scan. So Polt really is going to be more defensive, and Ryung's going to macro aggressively to take advantage.
Trying to bait that Viking into the Widow Mine.
Almost
Polt
worked.
is a ninja. He's like, all right, I'm just going to stray away from where the Widow Mine is. No problem. Of course, you can see that in the ground.
He saw the 3rd command center, too.
Oh, it's great scouting information. Is there a chance he thought it was the 2nd command center? I don't think so.
No, I mean, it wasn't done. It was under construction.
So he should absolutely. Yeah. All right. Banshee continuing to try to be annoying here from Ryung. Of course, the Viking is very close to that guy. Medevac getting loaded up here. 2 Widow Mines and 4 Marines inside.
And the Viking pushed the Banshee away before the medevac was loaded up. So Ryung hasn't seen this medevac play yet. But of course, if he knows his opponent's army's at home, there's no reason not to spread his units out to defend all possible attack paths.
Banshee coming to the main here. And that Banshee probably will die if the Viking decides to follow it. Nope, he's going to get away. Of course, energy very low. Medevac going straight to the natural expansion here. Polt trying to get some damage done. Has 4 Marines and again 2 Widow Mines. The medevac is just... there we go. Igniting the afterburners, going straight into the natural expansion. The Widow Mine's going to get burrowed. Let's see how much damage this is going to do. No, he's going to get targeted down. And Ryung with a great defense of that drop.
Ryung knowing, okay, my opponent's at home. Why not just spread units everywhere so there's no vulnerabilities? Both players showing excellent defense. And while Polt did have the faster expansion, and that, of course, is why he's going to be a little bit ahead into stim timing and the upgrades and additional barracks production, Ryung is trying to catch up with that faster 3rd orbital.
Absolutely, and he has 2 engineering bays on the ground as well. Now, Polt only has 1, but he started he had that engineering bay very early on because he wanted to set up those turrets. So he started +1 weapons right away. In fact, +1 weapons is already done. So he's already working on +1 armor. So when this engineering bay is halfway done with that +1 armor, I feel like he should be adding on obviously the armory in a 2nd engineering bay just so he doesn't fall behind in that upgrade race. Because as it stands, if Ryung continues with the 2 upgrades at a time and Polt doesn't adjust, then Polt could be losing that upgrade advantage. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
One thing we're going to see is in the next minute or 2, Polt's really going to have a much larger Marine count than Ryung. He's got 5 barracks that are all about to start building Marines. Reactors are just finishing. Ryung's barracks haven't started building the reactors yet. The barracks themselves are just finishing. So Polt's about a minute ahead as far as Marine production in large quantities goes.
Of course, it all comes down to tank positioning in a certain sense, so definitely a timing that Ryung can get by. Oh, a scan goes down and the Banshee stays alive with 8 HP. Ryung a little bit lucky. Ryung a little bit lucky there, but the Viking saying, "Get back here."
Oh, and it's out of energy too, so not even forcing a 2nd scan.
And the Banshee falls.
There's a face-off between a burrowed Widow Mine and a cloaked Banshee here. And neither one can see the other.
Oh, there's a scan.
There we go.
I like putting that Widowmine there. That's
yeah. I mean, it's if your opponent scans, you've already won.
Yep.
Not won, but it's already hurting them more than the Widowmine costs you, unless there was a really significant opportunity cost in building the Widowmine. Like if you really need tanks or something like that, then of course there's that factory production time to be considered. But just that the cost of the Widowmine is less than the value of the scan.
Polt sending some of his army to the top side of the map. There are Widowmines across the map for Ryung. One Marine gonna find out the hard way as he explodes into a bazillion pieces. His gun sliding down the neoplanet S hills. But I guess Polt can try to just lift up and go to the third, but Ryung already identifying, okay, I know what you're doing. I'm gonna defend. And Ryung looking good to defend this third. I don't see Polt being able to do much damage here, but could try to distract his opponent, I guess, and try to attack somewhere else. Definitely a possibility.
Polt's current army is not enough. Yeah. But if he hangs out at the top left, what he can do is he can make sure to deny all of the vision. So killing this SCV or forcing it back is actually nice for Polt because the smaller Ryung's vision circle is, like, if the less room he has outside of his bases to see attacks coming, he's going to be much less comfortable. He's going to have to position his units a lot more conservatively, which frees up Polt to expand more aggressively and be less worried about attacks coming in from Ryung.
Yeah, we were talking about sensor towers in the last game and how important they are, and that's exactly the reason why. And look at that, both players placing sensor towers in pretty much identical locations. So Ryung is going to be the one coming across the map here along the top side of the map. Polt is going to stim and go for the engagement, turning around right away, trying to bait to the Widowmine, but one Marine getting split off from the rest. Great heads-up move there from Ryung, and Polt going to back away, just trying to scare his opponent, poke him a little bit. And now we're going to see if they try to directly engage each other or if they try to surpass each other, but Polt looking like he wants the engagement.
Ryung might just be happy to kind of hang out on this ridge here.
Yeah.
With the position he's in now, it's going to be very uncomfortable for Polt to take this base on the left side. I mean, yes, he can kind of barely skirt around the tank range, but Ryung could easily slip Marines and harass that base. It's difficult for Polt to do this. Ryung's going to say, you know what, let's get an even better contain here and really lock down this top half.
Now, a problem with this might be Polt, again, he can just say, okay, you can stay there, but then he can take the base at the bottom right. So we can see a top-bottom map split here. And he could potentially send some units across the bottom pathway and potentially try to be aggressive towards his opponent's natural expansion. And Ryung must be aware of that. And look at that, he's sending some Marines towards that location. So he is aware of that and making sure that's not happening.
Nice play by Ryung. That Widowmine on the ridge is very key there as well to keep track. And Ryung's trying to keep Polt busy over here, and then this Marine force is going to try to sneak in and either do damage to the third or maybe draw enough units away that actually Polt's sending a lot of Marines down. Are his tanks going to be vulnerable?
And can Ryung identify this? That's a little bit nerve-wracking. Polt split. He's sending the rest of his Marines too.
There's only a few Marines left, but there's not too many Marines from Ryung, so it's unclear if he could actually break that or not.
Very dangerous.
Oh, he's got a medevac loaded up.
Widowmine taking down a Marine.
There's a Widowmine there. Oh,
well,
yeah, that defense is too solid.
And look at this, he's just going to back away. And now, can Polt take advantage of this? He knows his opponent, the majority of his opponent's army is on the left-hand side of the map there. But no. These guys respecting each other. A ton.
Just enough units to defend from both players on both sides.
Look at Polt. Look at Polt.
Oh, he's being sneaky. This is something we've seen. These Doom drops are very big in TVT. Of course, last game, both players so on top of scouting that there weren't any angles to find. But it looks like Polt's going to try. This could be a big move. It also could end up being a big disaster depending on how Ryung can react.
He can do this because he knows his opponent isn't going to be aggressive towards him anytime soon. He's going to sprint right into his opponent's main base. Also, he is max, so as long as he can be a little bit cost efficient, he's going to be happy with this. But Ryung reacting very well, sending his Marines back, sending his tanks back as well, and Polt just trying to get as much damage done as possible. I think all these units are eventually going to be forfeit.
Well, Polt with the better concave for now, but then as units died, he's going for the upgrades.
I like that. I like that a lot because 3-3 is well underway here for Polt. So if he can take those out from his opponent, he can give himself an upgrade advantage. And he's sending another squadron to his opponent's third base. Ryung realizing, okay, that's going on. I have to get back here and defend this. The question is, can Ryung get there in time?
3 tanks are sieging up. Polt's trying to squeeze around the top of the base, but as more tanks come in, I think Polt's Marines may have to be evacuated out.
As long as he can get some SCV kills, I mean, his bank is great. He's been essentially maxed, so just looking to be a little bit cost efficient here. But again, Ryung doing a great job identifying exactly where Polt is going, exactly what Polt is up to, and he's able to pull those tanks back to his third base to protect this location.
This is kind of an awkward defense, so we can't mine from that other gas geyser. Of course, gas not as important in Marine tank. Really, the Marines cost so much minerals, really pumping most of the resources in that direction.
Ryung is having to rebuild his armory because he lost it and he can't continue with the +3 weapons upgrade.
That's awkward.
Yeah, and Polt, guess what? His 3-3 is about to finish. He already has his +3 weapons upgrade on the Marines, and his +3 armor is almost done.
Wouldn't mind blocking the 4th from Ryung from landing. Both players taking force at the bottom right.
Oh, big engagement at the bottom side of the map. Polt trying to siege up those tanks, trying to get those shots off onto those Marines. I'm not sure who is the better engagement here. Ryung well ahead in supply, and Ryung with so many Marines going to clean up Polt's army.
That was just an absolutely amazing engagement from Ryung, and now the bottom right from Polt is going to be denied. Ryung is going to stabilize his own 4th base. Ryung is now solidly in the lead in this game.
This is a scary push, a very scary push indeed. Ryung coming forward. He has 3 tanks here, a lot of Marines as well. Again, a lot of Polt's armies at the top side of the map, not really doing much, just chilling outside his opponent's 3rd base. And now Polt has to come up with a way to deal with this attack from Ryung.
Ryung's so smart on the positioning, using the tanks to really keep Polt's army at bay while a small squadron of Marines tries to damage at their base.
Polt thinking like he might want to go for it, but there are a lot of tanks there. Again, he does have the upgrade advantage here. It's honestly, it is 3-3 to 2-2 right now. And look at that, Marines versus Marines. Polt's going to be very happy with that. Wants to pull back though. You do not want to run into those tanks, but the upgrade advantage really showing there. That was a situation where Ryung might have been able to win that battle, but with the 3-3 upgrades here from Polt's opponent's 2-2, it went okay for him. It went definitely okay for Polt.
That battle, Polt needed to do okay there to stay in the game as is. He's still in a very awkward position. No 4th base in sight for Polt. Ryung has such a strong contain here.
Yeah, and again, Ryung reacting to Polt's army at the tops of the map very well. Has enough tanks there to deal with that so he can focus all of his efforts at this bottom location, picking up some Marines, dropping them into his opponent's 3rd base. Again, going after his opponent's economy. I wouldn't be surprised if Polt rather, maybe try to take a base on the middle left. I'm not saying abandon this one at the bottom, but
that's the hard part. He has to stabilize this bottom base, and he's having a very hard time doing it. Once he stabilizes this base, then he can afford to send a few units off to take that left side base. But Ryung's not giving him a chance.
Ryung is max. He thought about going for it, but again, the tank spread from Polt is so good here. So Ryung unable to, come any more forward, but does he really want to go any more further? Because he's isolating his opponent from kind of protecting that base at the bottom.
Oh, a big move by Ryung. Polt realizing that he needs to take that left side base, like you mentioned, is actually pulling back some units from the top left.
This is a very interesting...
He's realized he's abandoning this. He's going for a big counter.
Ryung, he has a lot of tanks over there in that direction. He's trying to figure out what exactly Polt is doing. Might take down that orbital command. It's very low in health, down to 200 HP. But look at this. Polt's going to try to attack that 3rd base once again. He realizes his base was denied, so he's going to try to deny his opponent's same location. But I think Ryung is much better prepared here. There's plenty of tanks there to defend.
And they're positioned well. I mean, Polt can't get any closer. And where Polt is right now doesn't threaten Ryung. Ryung's not in a very awkward position. He's not quite close enough to do what Ryung did, whereas you control the ramp that goes from the 3rd base to the natural.
So command center going to try to be placed there in the middle left. One Marine is there from Ryung trying to find out what's going on. And I feel like Ryung definitely has an advantage. Again, guys, he has 4 bases to his opponent's 2. Polt's going to try to take this base in the middle left, abandoning that bottom location. But all this started with Ryung taking Polt off guard, getting that position at the bottom, which is so important. Every little movement in TBT that you make is going to have an impact on the game, believe it or not. And I feel like Ryung is in a great position. He just has to make sure to correctly identify how much Polt is committing to each of these pathways.
The situation in Ryung's in now is he has a choice. He has an advantage, but that advantage is going to be diminished as far as income as Polt establishes these left side bases, unless Ryung can keep trading units immediately to try to keep the action going, because if both players are maxed, it can really go either way, and that's the situation looking like right now. The other option that Ryung can do is he can just try to say, okay, I'm not going to try to be too aggressive. You've got your defenses stabilized, and I'm just going to take maybe the middle bases, maybe both the top left and the bottom right, and just try to control about 60% of the map, and if you're on 40, I'm on 60, I'll win in the long game.
Something that's fairly interesting is that Polt has the +3 vehicle weapons upgrade, and Ryung is only on +1. And again, this goes back to the armory dying from before. And of course, those are the tanks, so Polt has that advantage as far as the tank power is concerned, but as long as Ryung has just that better economy and can just split up those units, he can do well. But again, Polt, he has that going for him at the very least.
Ryung has a little bit of a forward sensor tower at the top left position. That's a very valuable asset for him. And now Ryung's trying to send a lot of units down to control the bottom right. If he can completely control all these bases on the bottom right and then also make the top left an unclear situation, he's going to have the lead.
All right, Marines spotting this orbital at the bottom here from Ryung saying, you know what, that's not happening, my friend. But now Polt retreating back with his Marines, but Ryung bringing so many Marines forward. He's got 3 tanks here as well. Widowmine is there, taking a shot at one of the tanks, bringing very, very low on health. Polt thought about engaging full out there, but realized the tanks were there. He's like, you know what, I guess I'm not going to take that right now.
Denying that base from Polt yet again. Ryung really trying to choke off the map.
Yeah, he's taking the whole map. Polt's going to go for it right here, trying to split up those Marines, trying to clear up this force. Saying, get out of here, Ryung. And Ryung is now going to be on the run, but look at how many bases he has. Medevacs, you got to keep those alive. Those are very important. Nice pick off there from Polt. Taking down 4, and he's going to send a Marine to that bottom right. Definitely going to try to deny that, but Polt trying to take this gold. And again, he still has those existing 4 bases in his little corner of the map.
I love Ryung's decision to take the gold here. He knows that on both the top side and bottom side, he kind of has a little bit more control, so he's controlling those ramps that go down to the middle. But wait, Polt trying to change that up. Polt can control this ramp.
He's sending a lot of his army to this bottom pathway. Meanwhile, Ryung is posturing with a few tanks and Marines in the top left. Polt continuing to scan, trying to identify what his opponent has, loading up some Marines into medevacs, and he's gonna spot this gold, or he should, yeah, and he's gonna definitely deny that gold.
Does he have enough Marines to take on the planter? That's the question. Ryung on the left side has put his tanks in a place where he can really deny this base, and this is Polt's most important base.
Yeah,
in fact, it's his only mining base.
Polt needed a sensor tower there or something to, well, he does have a sensor tower. He needed to identify that a little bit earlier and prevent Ryung from getting that position. Great position there from Ryung. Meanwhile, Polt setting up some tanks to shell away at that gold base. But again, this is a base that's just extra for Ryung. You know, compared to Polt. Polt's still only on 2 bases, essentially. He needs to keep that planetary alive.
I mean, Ryung, after the gold dies, he'll still be on 5 bases.
Exactly.
And Polt now is getting a mining base at the bottom, but this base is almost mined out. That left side base is so important for Polt. If he gives that up, he has to take that out the bottom right of Ryung and establish that as his own base, or maybe make a move on the golds himself.
Polt needs a convincing engagement right now. Ryung so far very well ahead in this game. I mean, we can look at the bank, 2K, 3K for Ryung. Polt struggling to even mine minerals at this point in the game. Again, most of his resources he's spending on repairing this planetary in the middle left, which he does not want to do at this stage of the game.
No, he needs to reestablish his left side base. He's bringing Marines back into area. It's almost all tanks by Ryung, so Polt can break this.
Yeah, he's coming forward with the Marines. Got to split those guys up. Meanwhile, Ryung going to stim in from the right-hand side. There's 4 tanks there from Polt. Keep in mind, most of Polt's army is the bottom side of the map, and Ryung surging forward with so many Marines. I think he's going to deny the space.
Such a brilliant move by Ryung. He could have put the Marines with his tanks to protect him, but he would rather trade tanks for tanks because he knows that he's ahead in economy. If any trade, he can replenish his losses, whereas Polt can't.
Yes, that is a fantastic point. Again, the bank tells a story at this point in time. Ryung setting up so many bases, still has that bottom right-hand location as well. Polt needs to identify that extra base and take it down. I feel like if he's going to have a chance in this game, I mean, otherwise, he's going to have to be ridiculously cost-efficient, or he's going to have to pray for a really good engagement, or hope that Ryung does a crazy transition and that he can take advantage of a timing where Ryung is saving investment for building other stuff.
It looks like both players have decided that Polt stabilized. Polt is saying, you know, okay, I think I've got this left side base covered. If I can defend this base, I can re-max up. And Ryung saying, okay, I'm not sure if I can deny this left side base. Instead of trying some crazy aggressive options to basically end the game by taking out that left side base, I'm just going to take up the BCs and say, okay, I've got economic advantage. Let's turn that into a tech advantage and a stronger army composition.
He's sending a lot of his army to the left-hand side of the map.
The bottom right's going to die.
Yeah, this is interesting because Ryung's, most of his army is top left. Most of Polt's army is bottom right. This is what happens on Neo Planet S. And Ryung's going to start shelling away at this planetary fortress, and he's going to be denying this once again.
If he can take the left side base, it'll be a great trade for Ryung. Trading a base for a base is always in the favor of whoever has more bases.
Now, let's see if Polt tries to be aggressive towards his base on the middle right. I don't know if it's possible because Ryung he's a pretty sizable army in that location, but
is he going for it?
Polt's posturing forward. He's going to try to make this work, but Ryung has so much. He has like 7 tanks here, plenty of Marines.
I feel like that's a lost cause trying to charge up through that location. Of course, Ryung has not initiated that battlecruiser transition because he's had to spend so much money replacing these losses.
Yeah, he's being safe.
Yes, and he knows all he has to do is just he'll starve Polt out if he can take deny this left side base. Polt's next base he's going to look at is the bottom right.
Yep, absolutely. Just denied that. He's got a good position on this ramp. You know, if he decides to take that bottom right, he'll have to worry about this right-hand passageway. And of course, he'll have to make sure this squadron of units on the left-hand side doesn't get crushed, because then his natural expansion and his main will be vulnerable, and his production. So definitely a very tense situation here for Polt. It's Ryung's game to lose at this point. Polt, again, he needs to make some miraculous moves to get back into this game.
Polt's going to retreat these. Actually, no, he's recollecting on the left side. Is he going to try to make a break here?
Scanning.
He cannot fight that. He knows that.
Just sneak by it?
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's doing. There's only one tank in the other direction.
How does Ryung respond? He's going to back up. Is he trying to sandwich this? Perhaps?
I don't think he can go in it quite yet, but if he can threaten a sandwich, he can force Polt to keep those tanks siege, and now this army is kind of stuck.
That's awesome, out of context. Threaten a sandwich.
You know,
I'm sorry.
Ryung is, no, that was great. Ryung is realizing the bottom right is Polt's next base, so he's moving a lot of his forces down there.
Yeah, he is indeed, and look at this. He's kind of swinging over, over that little valley. He's going to try to attack these tanks, but Polt backing up, run away, and Ryung just throwing away a lot of Marines there. So Polt's going to be happy about that.
He thought those tanks were exposed, but Polt had Marines to cover him. Ryung also realizing that force on the left side, now that Polt's not focusing on that base, he wants to get it back to defend this top passageway from Polt's army.
Oh, nice tank shot there from Polt. There's a scan from Ryung. Such a tense situation here. These guys have very even armies at both the top and the bottom locations. And again, Ryung has a battlecruiser transition ready and waiting. He's just not feeling confident enough to go through with them.
In this situation, the main purpose of the battlecruiser is actually, well, one of the main purposes is Yamato cannon, because in tank lines, of course, Yamato cannon now it costs less energy and it one-shots a tank. So if the game gets slowed down enough, you can start building those battlecruisers to start picking off your opponent's siege tanks. Also, you can use it like a Raven, where you send a battlecruiser in to pick at the line.
Yep.
Marines have one less range in a BC, so if they run forward to try to pick it off, they'll walk into your own tanks.
Exactly. Now, Polt able to secure the base at the bottom right, but look at this Ryung sneaking right past all of Polt's defenses.
There's no sensor tower.
Oh gosh, this could be very dangerous for Polt. He might just go to the main.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's a great move.
Of course, the third and natural aren't important because they're mined out. Only the main and the bottom right are, and he knows the bottom right's protected, the main is not.
Oh, he's going to siege up on the high ground. Polt scrambling back with his army, but now his opponent has the defender's advantage in his own main base. He's going to have to run up a ramp, a tank doing a lot of splash damage from above. And again, Ryung's going to be a little bit more happy with these trades than Polt is, because, again, his economic situation has been much better than Polt throughout this game.
Oh, and he's pushing in from here as well.
Oh, trying to take his opponent off guard there.
He was hoping he could get a contain, basically, and trap Polt's entire army in the main, but not quite able to get in the location. If he got about 4 hexes down more and then sieged up, Polt would have been in a really awkward position.
Yeah, really heads-up move there from Ryung again. Doing the drop in his opponent's main base to force his opponent to pull back, and then trying to set up a contain, essentially trapping his opponent in his own main and natural expansion. But Polt, a little bit too good for that, going to back up, set up those siege tanks. But more importantly, Ryung now has control of this passageway. So essentially, he has control of the top left base and the middle left-hand base.
And the middle.
Yeah, and the middle. And he's putting mules on the gold.
And he's using tanks over here on the right side to control the other entryway to the middle. I mean, right now, he basically has control over 3 more bases. Or 4. The whole middle line of 4 bases, Ryung controls all 4 of those.
Polt trying to do something about this, sprinting right to that mid base, and that orbital gets denied at the gold. Mules are going to fall as well. Polt finding a little bit of a hole in his opponent's defenses. Meanwhile, Ryung, since he has control of that choke towards his opponent's natural, in a sense, he's going to send some Marines right to his opponent's natural and start taking down some stuff.
Polt has this little Marine squadron behind enemy lines, but he's got to be careful because Ryung has more Marines. If he tries to set up a flank, but he gets flanked.
No, I think Ryung has way more than Polt in that situation. Polt going to run away as fast as he can. Great heads-up move there, realizing that that army was heading to that top side. Realized the threat of a potential flank on that army on the left-hand side. So pulling those Marines back to deal with that. But
Polt's trying to make a big move. He realizes his main is slowly being chipped away, or at least the infrastructure in his natural.
Yeah.
He's mobilizing his larger army here.
Oh, where's he going?
He's getting shelled a bit.
He's trying to go to the middle?
Oh, I think he's trying to set up a flank on that force. But Ryung is anticipating this.
He's backing up. Is
Yeah.
Polt going to trap himself in the middle? Okay, no, he can back up. Well,
Ryung could try to set up a trap, but he's playing a little bit safer, trying to reconnect his armies.
Oh no, great position here from Ryung on these tanks, decimating so many Marines. Polt tried to find a soft spot, tried to find an opening, and he's barely going to be able to clean up this army, but I think that trade went really well for Ryung.
It did, and Ryung now knows that force at the bottom right has vacated. And this is Polt's only mining base. He just took a big engagement, lost a lot of units, and now he doesn't have money to replace them.
That might be checkmate. Polt needs to make something happen with this army. He has a lot of tanks, but here comes Ryung stepping forward. All of his Marines trying to take down those tanks. Marines' bodies and guns flying absolutely everywhere. Polt hastily trying to reinforce with an army from the south, but Ryung able to clean up that army. He now has a 149 to 90 supply advantage. Picture perfect TVT here from Ryung in this match. Every step that Polt takes, Ryung is there, ready and waiting.
Polt is down to 2 SCVs with an income of 40 minerals a minute. That's not going to replace much. He needs to do something. He's got one more army. If he can make a magical engagement happen with this army, he could still make a comeback, but Ryung is so on top of this, always positioning correctly.
Yeah, again, playing this so well. These guys are such high-level players. Another game lasting past 40 minutes, and this is just a blast to watch. These guys are so high level. These TVTs are amazing.
Absolutely masterful TVT. Polt trying to take out the top left. Ryung defending. Ryung can even afford to lose this base. He has the bottom right coming up as well.
13 Marines at a time as well, and again, the ability to make more and more tanks to Ryung.
Polt's being cost efficient here.
Yeah. Ryung has to make sure not to make any foolish moves. He's setting up his base on the left.
He's going to drop. I mean, he only has 2 SCVs, but he's got the super ones, the giant yellow SCVs. He just dropped about 8 of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot of income he's going to have. Okay. Is it going to be enough, though?
Well, Ryung securing that base at the bottom right, so he's pretty much always been a base ahead throughout this entire game.
And now he's 2 bases ahead.
Yeah.
He's both the corners.
Yeah. So, and he's got, you know, a few Marines down there defending. He realizes his opponent's army is very small and that Polt is being very concentrated with his units because of this position that he's in. I don't know, man.
Oh, it's so many mules from Polt, though. Actually, look at the left side base.
It's just mined out.
It's just absolutely mule town going on there. Who needs SCVs, right? And the reason he has so many, it's not that he has a billion orbitals. Ryung actually has almost twice the orbitals. It's just because he's had nowhere to drop mules for the last 2 minutes, so.
Oh, Ryung might be saying enough is enough, coming in from 2 different locations, from the north and from the east, sending forward all of his Marines and all of his tanks. A great concave here for Ryung, and Polt is gonna GG. Ryung takes game number 2. Wow. What a game. What a series this is. Absolutely. Who says they don't love TVT? Are you kidding me?
Madness. I think that's amazing.
God.
This isn't like a 50-minute game where they're staring at each other across tank lines.
Right. All the movements around the map. Be like, oh, you're trying to take this space. Okay, I have to move over here. Okay, you're controlling this passageway. I'll take this other passageway. Oh, you don't have Marines defending. Okay, I'm going to drop some medevacs. Oh, the middle's open. Let's take that gold for a second. It's just so many decisions these guys are making in a matter of seconds. If they make one mistake, they're going to lose. And on the other side of things, the other player has to play so well to find those openings because these guys are so strict with their play. And now we're tied 1-1.
Well, what's absolutely amazing also is there's a certain level of TVT where a player just makes sure the guys are positioned correctly and then looks for an opening. But these guys are almost going one step further where they're not only positioning their guys correctly, but they're constantly moving around to try to force an opening.
Sure.
It's not just they're not passively waiting for their opponent to make a mistake. They're actively trying to force a mistake by doing all these moves that their opponent then has to react to. And if there's ever a misreaction in the slightest amount, all of a sudden you get a situation like this where Ryung distracted Polt on the left side, and then he takes a key location here, and all of a sudden Polt's in this really awkward position to defend. And while this is going on, Ryung's taking all the right side bases, and even I think that basically shutting her down 3/4 of the map.
Yeah, this move right here is definitely what gave Ryung the momentum in this game. Again, here he's kind of essentially limiting his opponent down to 2 bases, while he takes, again, 4 bases of his own. Polt, again, eventually abandoning that base altogether and saying, all right, I'll just take this base on the left-hand side. So, and this is what, the 23-minute mark? The game went on another 20 minutes, which shows just how good Polt is, able to stay in the game that long and really make Ryung play a fantastic game. But guys, we're tied 1-1. We'll have one more game to decide who's going to advance on to play alive in the winner's match. Guys, stay tuned. Game 3 coming up between Polt and Ryung.